All right, friends, good evening. It is Sunday night, the 9th of May, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers on the platform tonight. And congratulations to the fathers who managed to survive with all the mothers. We are happy to have mothers in our lives. I've just come back from a family meeting that was also very good with all my family around me. And now we're going to talk about what to do for our families in years to come. So it's a presentation about GEEK, and GEEK stands for the Generational Inheritance. We're in our 13th year of operation. We started in 2008. The picture on the screen tells you about our various brands. The Institute is our intellectual property of who we are, and we basically came into being when we discovered the template that enabled families like the Maponyas and the Ruperts to take their families against all odds in very difficult economic circumstances and turn their families into generational families, where now 2-3 generations further, these families are the pillars of our current society. And then GEEK CFI is about the bank. CFI stands for Cooperative Financial Institution. We'll tell you more about that as we get there. And tonight is effectively a demonstration of the GEEK Club. So every Sunday night at 7 o'clock, we have a presentation on a topic, which is a learning experience. And the topics are then recorded and made available on our YouTube channel for future. So in terms of GEEK, how did it came about? Well, in 2008, I discovered a secret well hidden there in the Bible that nobody reads. And that's why I call it the rediscovery of an ancient truth that says, a good man leaves an inheritance of moral stability and goodness to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner finds its way eventually into the hands of the righteous, for whom it was laid up. And the revelation I received was that this verse, although it's in the Bible, say it's only for Christians. It's a universal truth that already existed during the time of Solomon. And he penned it down, but it was already in the mouth of people at that time, when good men of old or wise men of old would observe nations, and when they see something that's always true, that if you do action A, the result is result B. It became a social law, and those days that they didn't have writing instruments like we have today, and so verbally they would then transfer it to the next generation, and that's how it became a proverb. Now, in modern language, this would then read as a social law to say, in any time period, doesn't matter what happened in the economy or the political situation, but if you can find a man, woman, or couple who dedicate their lives here on earth to leave an inheritance that benefits society but will still be there during the time of their children's children, that family who prepared for that inheritance, they will then end up with the unused resources, wealth of the sinner, families who missed the mark, and it will come into the hands of the righteous, families who do the. And in discovering this truth, I was then also fortunate to discover another little graph that explains it a little bit better. And this graph says at the bottom, this is your lifeline in years, and you can expect to become 80 years old. And the vertical is then your impact on society and your access to resources and wealth. Now, the first line, the yellow line, depicts a typical one-generation mindset person or family that says, I get born somewhere in some family somewhere, then I live till about 20 odd years, and I learn and I go out, and then I try to find a job that can pay me the maximum money that I can earn. And then I have to work really hard and hopefully put some money aside, because around about 50, society will kick me out and it will become increasingly difficult to earn money. But the financial institutions will tell you that if you made enough money away by the time that you're 50, you should be okay. If you eat it up slowly for the rest of your life, it should last you until your dying days. Now that's this typical curve. What is the reality, however? If we look at 80 and we draw a vertical line there, and that vertical line talks about your wealth and your impact in society, what is currently happening with elderly people in South Africa? And not just South Africa, around the world. Will you agree that most of them made it financially and probably find themselves living somewhere in the backyard of someone's house, being considered a financial burden? And even if you made it financially and you're okay, because they say a real good person is someone who can get to his funeral and have some money to pay for the funeral and leave some money for the kids. And that describes that yellow line. But if you look at that line, it literally says you make it and you eat it. In your lifetime, you eat it. Then your children start again and they make it and they eat it. And start again and they make it and they eat it. Now, that is a perpetuation of a mediocre or a history of a family who just survived one more week, one more month, one more year. Now, what if you want to break that cycle? Well, that's where that verse comes in. You have to change your mindset beyond one generation. And you have to start thinking 2 or even 3 generations. Now, what would happen if you think 2 generations, which means that it's not about you, but it's about your children. And let's say you were 30 when you had your first kid, and you're going to die at about 80. That means they will live another 30 years beyond your death. Well, that's how you need to then plan for the future. So how do you get your mind 30 years past your death into the future? You do that by asking yourself a simple question on a daily basis. This next transaction, this business decision, this course that I want to study, this purchase I want to make, how will it impact the time that my children will be old people and they will be in their 80s, 70s, and 80s? And how will it benefit them? And if you ask that kind of questions, you will no longer be concerned about your friends and having the brand clothes and the bling and the best house and the best car. You will be studying where society going, what would be businesses that would still be around in the next 10, 20 years, and start to position your family in front of those trends. And when the people who are on the one generation mindsets curve goes down, your family curve starts to continue to go up because of the preparation that you've done, the investments you've made, and how you position in front of the curve. And your family would then be one of these families who at a ripe old age, you would still be impacting society and even signing contracts maybe a week before your death, knowing that it's not about you and during your lifetime, but you've trained to take it further. Now, how many such people do you know? There are whoever are out there that at an elderly age are still making an impact in society. I think you will agree with me, they're not many. Now, even this is not God's best for society. And then hidden there in Proverbs 13, verse 22, is given us that verse that I've just worked through, where a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So what does it mean in terms of this graph? It means that it's not about your children. It's about the generation of your grandchildren. So you need to learn how to cast your mind, your children 30 years beyond them into the future, 60 years beyond your death. And how do you do that? The same way that you did for your children. Ask yourself, how will this decision benefit the generation of my grandchildren when they will be old people? But now it's not just good enough to study trends, because life becomes so complex and things happen so fast, and we now at such a technological growth with artificial intelligence and robotics and nanotechnology and all the things that can impact society, that how do you really prepare for that far into the future? Well, you do that by surrounding yourself with other people. And what this purple curve then illustrates is I'm starting humble, but as I grow, I reinvest in learn better skills, and I also constantly check that I surround myself with people that add value to me and grow me rather than people who eat my resources and devalue me. Um, but then as I grow, as I get older and older, I will take my children with me on this journey and teach them the language of generational thinking, which means we are no longer owners, but we are stewards. And we are no longer consumers, but we are builders. And even if my children don't want to necessarily get involved in what I'm involved in, it doesn't matter, because as a family, we believe that for every family, there are at least 3 sustainable and growing businesses within them that would support the family, but also support many other people who they will then give employ to. And out of those people, who knows, might become your succession for the business, but you'll put it in the right structures, trusts, companies, so that it's still there and the benefit of that business and the cash flow is still there at the time of your grandchildren. And that's how generational families operate. Now, to get there is not going to be that easy. Surrounded by a society that is designed from the education to the politics to the banking to the media to keep us trapped in a one generation mindset so that we can be manipulatable. So how do you escape it? Just like people who are addicted to substances need a support group, we who need to escape need a support group. And that's how GEEK came about. So GEEK is just the sum total of individuals and parents who put up their hands to say, we want to become that founding parent for our family journey. Now, if it's you, then what's the next step? Well, the next step is to understand the 3-generational journey. When people start this journey, you'll have to go through 4 stages to move from the left, the 1-generational mindset, which keeps you in economic pain and lack, to the 3-generational mindset of abundance and prosperity. But to get there, you need to understand that most people start in a struggle mindset. So struggle is not a political term, it's an economic term. And if you look on the right-hand side in blue, it basically describes your current cash flow situation. If you take all your income and you deduct all your expenses, what is left? And if it's a minus, and it has been a minus last month and the month before, what is happening in your life? You feel hopeless. And that describes a typical struggle situation. Now, there's no quick fix out of this whole thing. You know, it doesn't matter which party you would vote for. It doesn't matter which church you belong to and how much you fast and pray. All of those things could be good. But ultimately, only solve this equation by upping income and lowering expenses will you move out of this minus situation to the next stage, and that is called stability, where your income less expenses is now called a surplus. And then hopeless becomes hope, and hope is a strong commodity. It makes you attractive. It starts attracting good things to you and making it to other people. But do understand that unless you also grow your mindset to move away from a consumer mindset to an investor mindset, you will be tricked and tempted to fall back into struggle by the next advertisement that says, you know, this extra 100 Rand that you've just now managed to have a surplus, it's not really exciting. What can you do with it? Rather take it and buy some more brand clothes or do something. And that's what happened with most people. They oscillate between stability and struggle their whole life. But the way you escape this is become an investor mindset, start mixing with the right kind of people, and that will bring you to success. And success is when you have choices, and you only have choices when you have developed 3 or more growing and sustainable income streams. So yes, your job is one, but what are the other two? Now, the good news is in GEEK and through our Legacy Coach program, you will be introduced to some other income streams so that it would be quite easy for you over time to develop those 3 income streams. But once you have 3 or more income streams and you're in a surplus situation, that's not the end of the road yet. You stay in success. It's your new platform to operate from rather than struggle. But not just to make money for the sake of money. It's so that you can be released in your significance. And you tweak those income streams, become a specialist in it. And as time goes on, 3 will become 4, will become 5, as you see synergy with other people also on the same journey. But your real reason for living is your significance. That's why you're here on earth. But now you can do it from strength. Now you can do it from choice and have the time and the money to live your purpose and invest in society. And friends, this is shortly what the GEEK message is about. And from here, I'm going to move into the next phase. So this whole journey from struggle to significance is well supported through our GEEK Institute and all the training that's available through the platform and also in your personal liaison with your legacy coach. But now I'm going to go into our bank. So we can call ourselves a community bank because we are now registered as a CFI. And we got our license in 2015. We fall under the Prudential Authority, which is the South African Reserve Bank arm for cooperative banks. There's our certificate. We're due to get another one soon. But not many people get this kind of registration. It took us many years. And we're now one of 28 CFIs operating in South Africa under the supervision of the Reserve Bank. But we're one of only 3 with a national license, which is quite exciting. And then out of the blue, a month ago, the Cooperative Banks Development Agency gave us a certificate for the best performing established cooperative financial institution in South Africa. So that's what you are now looking at and be part of. Now, in this next few slides, we have a flagship product, and I'll come back to that. It's called our Loan Link Share, which is our interest-free product. And we're the only entity in South Africa, and for that matter, I think in Africa, that do give interest-free loans to its members. But to explain it, I'm just going to show you the multiplier effect of money, and also for you to understand the difference between the banks. When people say bank, they think of an institution like one of our known 5 big banks like the Standard Bank or Nedbank or Capitec or FNB, and you imagine a brick and mortar facility somewhere in a shopping center that people can go into and do transactional banking at an ATM. Now, that kind of bank falls under the Banks Act, and it's call it a level 1 bank, a commercial bank. Now, then you get, but you need 250 million just to start the license application, and it'll cost you several billion before you will finally be able to launch. Then you get a second kind of bank called a mutual bank. And in South Africa, we used to have many building societies, like one of the old building societies, Sambo National was a very good one. Operate very successfully, but then the big banks eventually bought them over. Today, we only got one mutual bank left, and that's Finbond. We had 2. VBS was the last one that folded because of political corruption. And there's still room for a mutual bank, but they have an unfair advantage. The category 1 banks can do what we call fractional banking, which means they don't have to have actual money supporting their loan book. They use the debt of the applicant as an asset, and then they can multiply that by 10 times and issue virtual money. Now, fortunately for us, we have got a good Reserve Bank system in place, well regulated. People still trust the system, but that is a challenge that in difficult times like it happened in 2008, when the money crashed, or the banks, the trust system crashed in the Western countries, then it was a problem. The good news is once you have the third kind of bank, cooperative bank, and that's the Banks Act that we fall under, we don't have the facility to do fractional banking. We have to have real money from real people, but we can still achieve a lot in society and be protected from banking crashes because of the way we are structured. Now, I want to illustrate to you the multiplier effect of money, which basically says, imagine in your community, if 100 people come together and commit to save 100 Rand a month each, that's 10,000 Rand a month coming in. That becomes their pool of fund growing by 10,000 a month, and they can choose to do with it what they want. In this example, I'm going to make them make a product that says members only can borrow interest-free, but they must be able to repay their loans over 5 months. So how will it work? In month 1, 10,000 comes in, there's 10,000 available to lend out. Then the credit committee of this group will now look at applications, and they only have 10,000 to give out. And let's say all 10,000 goes out, whether it goes out to one person or 1,000 to 10 people, that doesn't matter. But it must come back in 5 months as 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, and so forth. In month 2, a new 10 comes in, plus the 2 that's repaid. Now we have 12 to lend out. And the other rule we make is that once you borrowed, you cannot borrow again until everybody had a chance. To make sure everybody benefits from this arrangement. So 12 going out and have to come back over the next 5 months is 2, 4, 2, 4, and so forth. Plus the new 10 that comes in, plus the 2 that's repaid for the previous month. At the end of month 3, we have 14,400 in the kitty. Now, if I fast forward it to 12 months, in 12 months, our group have accumulated 120,000 Rand. And as the money comes in, it goes out again. As people repay it back, it has a bigger amount, it comes in. But after 12 months, we already have a pool of 44,000 a month coming in. That's real money that went to real people to pay real bills. And in total, if I have to stop the bank at 12 months, collect all the money that we lend out, and then pay everybody out, everybody would still just receive 120,000 Rand or 10,000 per month. But we have created an economy of 391,000 Rand because of the way we've circulated the money amongst our group. And I'm assuming that there's no loss of money, everybody pays back. So this is just to illustrate how in a closed group where there's trust and understanding, we can increase or enhance the economic situations of people by a 3 times factor if they understand how to use this. Now, a typical stokvel is the left side, which says the money comes in, we give it out to one person, and then I wait 12 months again before it's my turn, but I also have to throw the party for that month. So it's a fun way to save a little bit of money, but it's not an effective way. What we've done in GEEK is the second part, the right-hand side. And we can give people eventually up to 3 times. We've just brought it down to 2 times now for the sake of COVID until we know what is the economic impact of that. But so here's the financial products of the CFI. To become a member of the CFI, that's that blue column there, you have to become a member and buy a share, but we ask a one-time registration of 250, which includes 1 share of 100 Rand, and the other 150 is your profile that gets set up on the banking software. And then you have a choice of a 60 Rand per month or 120 Rand per month membership. I'll come back to what that entails. But for both of them, you now have 4 products available to you. The normal financial products that's available to you, and just by the way, we cannot yet do transactional banking. That's where you go to an ATM and draw money. But we do have a savings account where you can bring lump sums of money 6, 12, or 24 months and get above market interest rates, and you can have another account, they call account, which is, I call it almost your personal account for a rainy day, where you save money towards a project like Christmas gifts at the end of the year or school fees in January. And while the money is in your account, it earns interest, but whenever you want to call it up, you write an email to the back office and ask them to just release your money and give them 32-day notice. So these are called normal financial products. What I'm excited about and what sets us apart from all the cooperative banks in South Africa are our sophisticated products. So last year, we developed an account called the investor account. It's like the 32-day call account. It's part of your monthly membership. You can just ask for it to be opened. The first 2,000 Rand won't earn interest. It's called an activation, but it makes you a member of the investor club. And now that you're an investor and there's no maximum to what you can put in here, we now have a group of specialists at the back end that helps to search for investment opportunities. Last year, we came across an investment opportunity in cattle. It's called a cattle feedlot project, where every 2 months there's an intake of money with which they buy calves, they fatten them under professional management conditions, sell the meat, and then repeat the cycle in a 12-month period. So when you invest, and we've just had our last month's investment intake in April, you can invest for as little as 500, there's no maximum, but your money is tied up for 12 months. There will be another chance to come to participate in 2 months' time, which is June, and we'll notify all the people who are on our investor club as time goes on. But the track record of this company is that over the last 3 years, they've achieved 10% plus growth per annum, between 10 and 15%. So that is, for instance, a typical investor opportunity that we will bring to the table. But in time, we can also look at businesses, property, and hopefully before this year is out, we will introduce our business membership option, which will also then put investors in front of people with business ideas who can then pitch their ideas to the investor club, and you can decide how you want to become involved in that. All right, so that's our investor account. Then our flagship is called the Loan Link Share, where you can get free loans. We say it's actually not up to 3 times at the present, but it can go back there. It was up to 3 times before COVID. And then up to 7 years repayment. There is obviously conditions involved with that. But how it works is for 12 months, you contribute interest-free, and you decide how much you want to put into this account. And then after 12 months, whatever you have accumulated, you can then borrow against that amount up to 2 times currently. And then once you pay that back, and you have to pay it back within 12 months, then you can immediately qualify for another loan. You don't have to stand in a queue against what you have saved. So if you, in the meantime, have added to your savings, that will become your gearing to how much you can borrow up to 2 times. And your next loan will then be structured over the period that you've been a member of GEEK. So 2 years membership, up to 2 years, 3 years, up to 7 years, depending on the amount of money that you want to borrow. So we don't go into that detail yet, but you will get, once you join as a member, you'll get that detail, and your legacy coach also knows the detail. So here are the 4 products available to our members. So what is membership? The membership options currently, you can become a member for free, and I'll take you to the website just now. And then there's the classic membership for 60 and the Wealth Builder for 120. So on the free, you can get some online training, like tonight's presentation is in the form of a course of 14 lessons, go through it. And there's also goal setting and budgeting training that you can get for free. But you cannot participate in the bank until you become a bank owner, and that's a once-off investment of 250, and then you have access to the 4 products that I've just mentioned, and webinars and rallies and networking. Then we have a product called Wealth Builder. There you'll get all the benefits that the classic people have, but you also get funeral cover to the value of 30,000 Rand. And that includes 30,000 for the husband and wife, 20,000 for children 13 to 21 years, 7,500 for children 6 to 13 years, and 3,000 for children below 5 years. So that, in a nutshell, is the membership options available to you. If this is your first time listening to this presentation, what is your next step? Well, go to geek-institute.com, and on our landing page, you will then find this landing page picture, and there will be 2 buttons. For the first time, just go to the one that says shortcut to free membership, and as you then scroll down, it will bring you to a window where there's a video to be watched. So I just want to quickly go to that and play that video for you.
Hi, welcome. Allow me to introduce you to some of our friends on the wall. Meet Ruan, a professional who's traded his cubicle view for his favorite coffee shop and currently pioneers new funding models with us. This is Ruth. She's just finished matric and she's chosen to make the business world, rather than the varsity halls, her classroom next year. Here we have Heather. She was a divorcee hopelessly trapped in debt before finding GEEK. By making use of our training sessions, debt counseling and our interest-free loan, Heather was debt-free in 18 months. Today she's even a proud investor. Meet Musi. In 2011, he left the comfort of his high-paying job and closed the chapter on a successful corporate career. By using GEEK's training and support resources, he's now a full-time entrepreneur who's living his dreams. Paul is a successful businessman who puts a high value on excellence and service delivery. That's why he was so impressed in 2011 when he partook of GEEK's complimentary financial services. And that's why he's never looked back. Doris was a nursing sister with a business dream she couldn't afford. But with the right training and funding mechanisms through GEEK, she started her own business as a labor broker. Today, her company supplies 5 hospitals with over 1,500 nurses and manages a payroll of several millions per month. Consider a few hard realities in this day and age. Currently, 95% of matriculated learners will need to seek employment outside of the formal sector and start their own businesses. Most job holders will face retrenchment on a regular basis, forced to change direction in their career between 3 to 5 times. Inflation could rise in excess of 10% per annum, which means that the value of your money is halved every 5 years, while the cost of living doubles up every 5 years. If you've never learned how to manage your wealth, you will always be at the mercy of others to ensure your future. In spite of all our politicians' promises and banks' good intentions, the truth is that it's becoming harder and harder for the average person to get quality and affordable funding for their business and household needs. The costs of education, housing, transport, healthcare, and basic living are spiraling. How long can you scale down before you insist on a different strategy? And even if you are financially free, where do you put your wealth to ensure ongoing growth? The Generational Inheritance Group was formed in 2008 for people just like you and me. Now known as the GEEK Institute, members receive ongoing adult training on a wide range of topics such as wealth building, financial literacy, investment strategies, entrepreneurship, and many others. Membership is free, while you enjoy access to articles, workshops, and various training events. Out of the need of our members, we started our own Loans and Saving Club in 2011, where members could save money and access interest-free loans. This has now become a fully registered cooperative financial institution called the GEEK CFI. Members of the Institute get automatic access to the CFI if they choose the paid membership option. Imagine learning how to cut your healthcare costs by 50%, building generational wealth, gaining financial independence, receiving unique wealth training, and getting first choice to great investment opportunities that you won't read about in the newspapers. Discover the secret to getting out of debt faster than anything offered by the general debt counseling profession. We'll not only advise you on how to get out of debt, but how to stay out of debt month by month, year by year. Be a part of the positive story for the next generation by participating in a wealth group near you. Join us today as we make things happen for a better tomorrow.
Then if you scroll down, you'll then, once you watch the video, there's a you can enter your details to become a registered member, and please tell us who referred you, because we would like to keep the referral hierarchy correct so that we can support you with the person that you have a relationship with. Then as you go down, you'll then start seeing a little picture with an elderly man walking with his grandson. And that's our first course, which is called From Struggles to Significance, the Generational Journey. And you'll recognize a lot of what I shared with you tonight, but go through it, register for free with your email and create a password. Just write it down so you don't forget it. And it will be about 14 lessons of 1 to 6 minutes each. And that'll give you a good understanding of the message and our bank. Once you've done that, then you'll scroll down, you come to the page, a place that says membership application form for paid members. And that's where you then sign up as a paid member by choosing the basic membership of 60 per month or the Wealth Builder membership at 120 per month. And we've come to the end, or is it the beginning?